Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we have some spoilers for Campaign 3 up to episode 118. So if you aren't caught up with that, I recommend, getting caught up because there's spoilers in this video. And one more thing before we start, this was supposed to be a recap video today, as normally that's how things play out, but there was no Critical Role this week due to the fires that are happening currently in LA. So that's why there was no Critical Role if some of you were curious, because not everyone would have seen the X post that they made, and I don't know if the newsletter has any notifications or anything like that. So if you didn't see why there was no Critical Role last night, the wildfires are why. So there's going to be a link in the description to the California Recovery Fund, so if you can donate, please do. So with that being said, time to get on to the video. On any given day, you could wake up with an idea or a topic on your mind. And depending on what exactly that is, you may want to make a video about it and share that video online with others. And sometimes those ideas, theories, questions that are in those videos end up being true. And you struck gold, and eventually it paid off, and people love the idea and agree with you. Today is not that day. About a week ago, I talked about how I believed that Ludinus wasn't an underwhelming villain. I argued that in the past, when Ludinus fought the party, that they were just his afterthoughts in said encounter, and that this episode 118 would prove that he is just as much of a threat as Odahan Thule. He wasn't underwhelming, he was just not worried about the party. But this fight, he'll focus the Bell's Hells, he has to. It's the only option at this point. This time he'll take a few of the party out with him, and eventually open the door and become the vessel of Predathos. Well, this didn't end up happening. And I think the best way to describe him now is underwhelming. The biggest thing that Ludinus did in the fight with the Bell's Hells was create a black hole at the entrance of the room, which was cool and annoying for the party for the first couple of turns, but eventually it was easy enough for all of them to escape out of multiple times. In fact, Mr. had his best showing in all of Campaign 3 using fiery teleportation to get the party out of the black hole a few times. Specifically, Fern, Ashton, and Imogen were the recipients of fire teleportation, helping them out considerably. Mr. was the MVP of this encounter. Ludinus didn't learn from his previous fights with the party. Instead of focusing on the party to fight them while he was in a powered-up state, he spent 2 turns dealing with the hollowed cage, which wasn't going anywhere. He was acting as if he was on a super short window to open the hollowed cage. But even if it was as little as an hour, his window in his exalted form, he would have had plenty of time to kill the party and then still open the cage. For those of us who don't remember, the Quintessence Array gives a benefit to a wearer who absorbs something for 1 minute up to its next long rest. So, Ludinus had up to his next long rest with the exalted powers. And had he absorbed Liliana for an hour, it would have been a permanent thing, and she would have been killed, which is why they sort of raced to get there. So he had until his next long rest in this exalted form. He had plenty of time to deal with the party and then open the hollowed cage. And the fact that he didn't do that and instead chose to focus on the hollowed cage was a waste of time. So now I'm going to compare Ludinus and his fight to the other major fights of Campaign 3. Obviously, first off, we have to start with Odahan Thule, an unprecedented murder machine, killing 5 players. I believe that is the highest kill count a villain has ever had in Critical Role. I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. I can't really think of anybody at the top of my head who has a higher kill count. Just her name alone was able to send shivers down our spines as we were watching, and the same would go for the cast. Anytime her name would be mentioned, they would be terrified. Ludinus carried that aura for a little bit at the beginning, but as time went on and they encountered him more and more, that would go away. And unfortunately, this fight didn't help that. Then we had Ozo Kruth, who compared to Ludinus and Odahan Thule had very little buildup, but did put fear into Lord Zethuda. So there was a bit of a buildup behind him and, a comparison to be made between him and Lord Zethuda. So, in Ozo Kruth's fight, he downed Pike, one of the legendary members of Vox Machina, a level 20 cleric, and killed Vex. In one episode, Ozo Kruth had done more damage to a party than Ludinus had ever done across an entire campaign. Technically, he had done more damage to a party across one episode than Ludinus had across 2 campaigns, because Ludinus was introduced in Campaign 2. So, Ozo Kruth really putting a damper on Ludinus here. And then there's the Weavemind, who didn't down anyone either, nor did they kill anybody. But to be fair, the Mighty Nine are the truly most insane group in Critical Role and the best built group. And a time stop that basically ruined a portion of their kit, as Matt put it, didn't really help them either. So realistically, it's a bit unfair to compare the Weave Mind to anybody else because the Mighty Nine were a destructive force that weren't going to be stopped. And they did even make the Nine sweat a bit, but eventually, once the Weave Mind started dropping like dominoes, it didn't matter anymore because once one went down, it seemed the others weren't too far behind afterwards. So realistically, that fight was just, for the Weave Mind to lose. They didn't really stand a chance there. So that's a bit of an unfair comparison for them to Ludinus. And let's be real, if the Weave Mind and Ludinus had been in swapped positions and the Bell's Hells were to fight the Weave Mind and the Mighty Nine were to be fighting Ludinus, that would have been so easy for the Mighty Nine. It would have been over in like 2 turns. Time stop likely would have just done it alone. Caleb alone probably could have fucked up Ludinus for the entire, it wouldn't have mattered. Ludinus would be dead easy to Caleb. So, and the Weave Mind versus the Bell's Hells, that would have been a hard fight. That would have been an interesting fight. Ludinus has never killed anyone in the party. Yes, his focus was never on them, but that just shows his greatest weakness as a character. He could never see the beings in front of him as a threat. For some reason, he believed no matter what, they did not have a chance to beat him. He was never going to lose to them. In ways, this actually mirrors the gods believing that he's above the players. He truly thought that no one could stop him. I also want to take this opportunity to talk about how much of a coward Ludinus has proven to be. Ludinus claimed that he didn't care if he had died during his quest to get rid of the gods. He understood there was a sacrifice that needed to be made. Then, why in the hell does he have a staff that can send his soul to a different body? Now, of course, this isn't 100% confirmed yet if he is still alive, but a soul-binding staff using its charge to me sounds like he's still alive somewhere. And of course, the reason he does have this is so if something did go wrong before he got to become the vessel or before a vessel was made, that he would still be around to ensure that he could eventually do this play. However, this honestly makes him look like a massive liar, and that he didn't care fact about if he survived or not. Because who knows, maybe the intention was for him to become the vessel, and then his soul be shunted elsewhere as, Prodathos takes over a Ludinus body, and then we'd have a sort of, to go to anime for a second, like Goku Black Zamasu situation where there's 2 Ludinuses running around, but one of them is a literal fucking god, and the other one is a very powerful being, an entity. So that would have been interesting. 2 Ludinuses running around could have been cool, but it didn't happen. And it honestly makes him look like a massive liar because he does in fact care if he dies or not on his quest. So with all that being said, and I've admitted that I was wrong, he was an underwhelming villain, I still believe there's a chance for him to have at least one good showing as a villain. I truly believe that with the reveal that Ludinus Deleth is still out there, that Campaign 3 can't end with the players just kicking the gods out. I think the best ending for this campaign now is, once they deal with Prodathos however they may, they should go on a Ludinus manhunt. They should find his lair, fight him there, and destroy every chance that he has to coming back. And with this being his final chance, I think I know what he should do, or what Matt should do, to make him feel like a threat. Number 1, he should actually fight the fucking party. I have no idea why he hasn't fought the party yet. He has had other intentions every time he's fought them, including this last time. I truly think he would have a much better chance if he would just focus the party. It makes no sense to have a split focus on doing one thing and then getting stabbed in the back by 7-8 players and 1 NPC in Ira who showed up. You have fucking 9 people behind you, Ludinus. Turn around and fight. What are you doing? Number 2, he needs to have a spellbook with every spell in it, and it should be prepared perfectly to counter the party. He should feel like he knows them inside and out. Yes, that sounds incredibly bullshit and broken until you realize this dude's a millennia years old. He needs to have every spell at his disposal, and he should prepare his spell book and his spell list to fuck the Bell's Hells. However that might be. Silence, Earthbind so people can't fly around, a bunch of other broken spells that can, keep them in place. Use the fucking, use that goddamn, black hole again. He studied Dunamancy. He should have a ton of Dunamancy spells. He should just have every spell you can think of. Power word kill, power word stun, power word pain. He should have everything. Feeble mind, he should just cripple the party with spells that he has. reverse gravity and then, end the reverse gravity, making them fall to their deaths. He should have every broken spell in his spellbook, and this fight should feel cheap. It should feel cheap. He should feel like he's been watching them for 118 episodes. Number 3, he should use the special powers that he's gotten over the centuries of using his quintessence array. In the fight against the players, it seemed he only used the powers he got from Imogen's mother. It didn't make any sense to me that he didn't use more abilities. He should have tons of abilities, and I would imagine, based on the things that we know about him absorbing a ton of Fey creatures, he should have a bunch of Fey inspired stuff. So realistically, number 3, use the harness abilities you've gotten over the years, dude. Number 4, layer actions. Where the hell are his layer actions? I imagine it's in his lair, but I believed that, the area surrounding him in the hollowed cage that they were in would have been his considered lair because he was an Exalted Born trying to free Protothos, and Protothos would extend his power out for a bit. But instead it didn't happen. There was no layer actions. So during the fight he had his action, his legendary action, and legendary resistances. While that's a lot, you're fighting level 16 or 15 or 16 leveled characters. You need a little bit more for that action economy to truly be useful in your favor, especially if your big spell is a concentration spell that can go away if you lose concentration. So realistically, layer actions are needed, whether that's just a heal every turn that eventually the party have to destroy to deal with or whatever, because he keeps getting his health back, or it's some sort of damaging effect that hits everybody in the room. He needs some form of layer action to be able to compete with turn action economy. And number 5, he needs an annoying run-up to use the party's resources before they make it to his lair. He needs to have a labyrinth that uses up a bunch of their stuff with I don't know if it's going to be a minor fight or, just a lot of big distances they need to gap over or whatever, puzzles they need to figure out and use their magic to, make way. I think there needs to just be an annoying run-up to his, lair to weaken them. Because CR doesn't really work in 5e all that well, and I think the expected thing, and I'm running a modular right now and it really proves it, they think that you should do 15 fucking combats before you get a short rest or a long rest, right? I'm playing through Tyranny of Dragons right now, and they just did the greenest stuff. My party just did the greenest stuff, and they haven't had a long rest in 7 encounters. So that's how the Critical Role team at Wizards of the Coast believe combat should work, right? They should be expended on most of their stuff, and they should still be able to roughly survive. And the fact that there's been so many encounters before they got their long rest truly shows me that CR is kind of messed up, and the fact that it's not supposed to be based off your full kit, it's supposed to be based off half your kit. So they should, lose half their kit as they're making their way to Ludinus Deleth. I think that would be a easier way to make Ludinus feel a lot stronger, because they'll have less at their disposal to sort of hit him with. I think with all of this, Ludinus could be a good final boss for the campaign, and if you don't want it to be the end of the campaign and you want it to be a one-shot, that's fine. I could easily see this being a one-shot that they go to afterwards, and we get to see how, the world has changed a little bit in the X amount of months that it's been since the gods have been kicked out, or maybe the gods have stuck around, but the arrangement has changed, however you want to view it. If it's 6 months after the campaign and it's a one-shot, that could be fun. But if it is going to be a one-shot, I know a monk and a wizard who'd love to fucking wring this man's neck. So I'm very curious as to what you guys all think. Do you think Ludinus Deleth still has a chance to prove himself as a villain, or has that ship sailed and there is no chance that you will ever take him as seriously as Otohantul? I'm curious as to what you guys think. And sorry this video isn't super edited, but with the, no Critical Role recap today, and this being sort of short notice, that's kind of what's going to happen. So apologies if you guys wanted some sort of big edited thing with a bunch of images and stuff like that. That's not happening today, but I think it's understandable with everything that's going on right now. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Please leave a suggestion as to what video I can make next, because with there being a gap like this in Critical Role without any new information coming at me, I kind of need some video ideas. I don't need them, but having extra suggestions would be fun, because there are some in the back burner, but I'd like to hear your suggestions. But anyway, I will see you guys on Sunday. For some of us who come out to the streams, I will be streaming Baldur's Gate, the honor mode that we're doing with our Drow rogue Tav. I will be continuing that stream on Sundays. And then on Tuesday, I'll see you for whatever video I make next. Peace.